All right. Well, this is for Jess and Joe and Gabby and Bobby and Christina or whoever wants to watch this. Eventually, you're going to go through my stuff and you're going to find some stuff that you don't know what the hell they mean. So I'm going to try to explain some of it while I can and while it's fresh in my mind. And for some reason, this story has been in my head for the past few days, really hard. It's kind of a long story, and I'm just spitballing here, so there's no rhyme or reason, so I'll be thinking a little bit, and I might get some dates wrong or whatever, but this is about how it goes. But this is one of the reasons why I like little small mementos, and this is why I collect money. It's not about the value of it. I mean, yeah, it's fun to hold silver and gold and stuff like that, and cool coins, different mint stamps, and from all over the world. But who could have been holding what you're holding 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago? And that kind of puts in perspective, this little coin or this memento has more meaning than just what you see. And I've always thought that was kind of special, with different things. So that's why it's kind of hard for me to let go to certain things that other people are just like, dude, that's crap, just fucking trash it. But to me, it kind of has a different sentimental value. And even if I can't place it, there's something there. So, this wallet. It's a normal Velcro wallet every kid had in the 80s, 90s. Nothing in it, nothing special, nothing. Just a little wallet, right? Now, this was given to me in Mosul by an Albanian officer. But let's go back. So, I joined the military in '99 after I graduated high school. First thing we did when I got to my unit in the 101st, this was in August of 2000, we deployed to Kosovo. This is pre 9/11, so any deployments were like a big deal. And we're going to the area of Vitina, Kosovo. Was where our main base was, but we went up to Debelde and the monastery or the church in Banak were our two little outposts that we went to quite a bit, and we patrolled. There were a couple other towns, but I really can't remember. Those were the two. Debelde was up on a huge mountain. It was a hike to get up there. And most of the time we took Humvees because we were spent. Anyway. Fast forward, 2007. Joseph was just born in March, and Sergeant Major Tom Reed lets me go home on leave. We were supposed to leave. The unit was supposed to deploy in March. No, excuse me. Late April. Unit was supposed to deploy in late April. And he goes, look, help me get everybody out, get the whole battalion deployed, and I'll let you go on leave, take as much leave as you need. So I get everybody deployed. I was helping build pallets, Connex inspections, whole bunch of arms room activities. I was on the B team. I was on 0310 in 10th group. At that time, they just went over to the new numbering system. About a year and a half, maybe 2 years prior to that. About a year, I think in 06. Anyway, so Joseph was just born. And he was born on March 10th, of course. And then I can't remember which day after that, but it was probably about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks after. I remember it was a Sunday. Tom Reed told me, he's like, hey, just call me every Sunday. Let me know you're okay, and I'll let you know when there's a bird flying over to Mosul. He's like, I don't know what you're doing there, but that's where you're going to be at. That's where the B team's at. They have a nice big base, Anaconda, and that's where you're going to be. I'm like, all right, cool, sounds good. So I call him on a Sunday, about 3 weeks after Joe's born. Everybody's doing fine. Joe was healthy. Kathy was doing much better. And Jessica was loving being an older sister. It was fun. Anyway, I call him on a Sunday. He goes, all right, there's a bird leaving on Thursday. He's like, you need to be back here Monday night, USRP, or get all your readiness package. On Tuesday, Wednesday, you're going to help pack some extra stuff to take with you, and then Thursday the bird's leaving, and you'll fly right into Mosul. There's a huge airport there on Anaconda. They'll pick you up, put you up, and there you go. Awesome. So go over there, fly over there, get packed up, get over there. No big deal. I'm at the B team, which is on its own little separate compound within another compound, and Sergeant Major Kreider. I don't remember the commander at the time, but I was with Phil Roybal, Mark Ring, Captain Bolton, or Lieutenant Bolton, now Colonel Bolton. So, was doing that for about 2 months, 3 months, and then a tasking came out that I was fished out to work for a different task force on the other side of the base, on more of the airfield side. And at that time, my job was to aid and assist with a Iraqi recon team. So they would go out in the city of Mosul, record video of an area, bring it back, and then I would distribute it out to whoever needed that video. Had a pretty big team of about 12 to 15 to 20 people there living with us, and I moved over to the other side of the camp, worked with them on a daily basis, ate with them, slept in a CHU something housing unit, I can't remember. Combat house, I don't know. It was a piece of crap trailer, smaller than a trailer, like a fucking box with an air conditioner on it. I think it was exactly 8 feet wide by 16 feet long, something like that, I want to say. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Well, that's where I was. I was over there with them. I trained with them during the day, helped them out, getting their skills up with my skill set, and then sent them out. So what they would do is they would go out in the town. They'd leave out a very populated gate that had a lot of traffic going in and out of it, so it was pretty inconspicuous. And then coming back, the easiest way was to let them in on the back side of the base. That was more of a major route, but they could get off the route pretty quickly. So I was tasked. We would go out there, and there was just one little, those raise and lower bars like you see over a train track. It couldn't stop a fucking fly if it wanted to. It was just a metal raise and lower thing, simple. There was a little elevated platform in a concrete barrier, a couple HESCOs, and that was it. HESCO barriers were the big chain link squares that were all linked in a line and then filled with dirt and sand and rocks and shit. So that was going on for a while. Then I was like, man, why can't we have a cement contractor builder on the base? Why can't we get some HESCO barriers, or the Jersey barriers over there, which are the big tall cement. You see them in all the movies, all the roadsides, everything, really popular concrete barriers to give a little bit more protection both for us and the vehicle coming in. So as soon as they, do a couple serpentines, then they're off the view of the street. So me and the two other SF guys who were there working were talking about it, and we got the funding approved, and the Turkish cement guy. I can't remember the name of the company or anything like that, but he only built the Jersey barriers in 3 feet, 6 feet, and 9 feet tall. Well, I'm 5'4", and my other two guys were about just over 6 foot, and we go up to the 3 feet one. And we're like, I don't feel secure behind this. It's too low. I mean, I can't really maneuver behind it very much, and it was too low. The 6 foot one was way over my head, and then even them, they couldn't get at the right angle to provide protection in the corners and when they're clearing it to feel safe. So that was out. So we had to have specially made 4 foot Jersey barrier made. So get them contracted, and it took like 3 weeks for this guy to make them because of everything was backed up and everything. But he finally gets them, has the order set. So we go out there. And in this planning, we figured out how many we needed. We were going to start off with 4 foot. And then after they did 2 serpentines, we were going to have 1 gate. And then we were going to go up to 6 foot. So they wouldn't be able to see us enter or egress and come up. So and then there was going to be another gate. There's 2 gates, 2 of the little metal things that went up and down, and then probably like 4 serpentines, 5 serpentines. It was a mess. So I mean, you had to go really slow back and forth to make those turns. It took a Humvee a little while to make it, but of course we were in civilian vehicles, or the team was. So get out there, and the Turkish guy goes, "Hey, we got them made, but the cranes are gonna have to come out and then place them, and we're gonna need you to shut down the highway. So we need guards on the far side of the road." It was a 2-lane or 4-lane divided highway. 2 lanes going one way, 2 lanes going the other. Pretty typical of what you see. And I told the guys, I'm like, "Well, shit, man, I don't care. I'll go to the other side." And they're like, no. We're going to need a whole team of guys, at least a squad, maybe a platoon, to go over there. So we put the request up through the base commander. I can't remember what their actual title was. I have no idea what their name was. But it was cooler. It was cold. So it was November, December of 2007. Something like that. October, maybe. Anyway. So we put in this request, and they go, yeah, it's fine. We have coalition forces that will come out to your area, and they'll secure the area while the truck's there. So we're like, all right, cool. So we coordinate for an 8 o'clock start time, hope to finish it all in one day. And so we let the Turkish contractor know, like, hey, you got to be ready at 8 o'clock, have your trucks out there with everything ready to go, ready to start. And, we'll put in a full day's work since it's nice and cool, and we'll hopefully be done in a day. Yeah, that didn't happen. Turkish workers work on Turkish time, and they got there at about 9. So when I get out there at about 9, because I'm trying to put a boot in this guy's butt to get him out there quicker, because I know we have this coalition force out there that I don't have contact with. I don't have their cell phone number. I don't have a radio with their frequency on it. I get out there about 9:30, and the lieutenant comes at me, and in broken English, he's pissed. He's like, why is it that when civilians are late, it's no problem, but when we are late, big problem. We fired, we go home, you kick us out of NATO. Why is it that you can do this, but we can't? Why? So I'm like, I don't know. And I didn't have an interpreter. So he was just pissed, and I could tell he was unhappy, and I couldn't even. So finally, and I didn't know he was Albanian at the time. He was just chewing my ass, which I was an E7 at the time. I was used to. I still was used to. Not a problem. Or was it an A6? I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was an E6. Anyway, so he turns and he says he's going to leave and we're going to figure it out by ourselves. And as he's turning, I see his patch with the black double-headed eagle. And I was like, that's the Albanian flag. I remember because I took an Albanian flag when I was in Kosovo. And the only thing I remember in our training to go to Kosovo was Stani ili pucen, stop or I'll shoot. But I didn't remember it at the time. But I remember I was like, and I was trying to rack my brain what was going on and what was, how could I communicate with this guy? And I'm like, Stani. And he kind of like stops. And I go, ili pucen, Stani ili pucen. And he just turns his head and looks at me and goes, Albanian? And so between, I wrote down the dates I was in Kosovo, and then I wrote Kosovo, Vatina. And then I was with SF, so I didn't have any of my old patches or anything like that. And then I drew the Screaming Eagle patch. And he instantly knew. I don't know if he was from that region or he knew where it was, but it was like, oh shit, this guy knows where I live. This guy knows something about my country, something about my hometown. So Kosovo, and especially that area, was very contested between the Serbians and the Albanians. Vatina was like 99% Albanian, or like 97% Albanian, and this small little contingent of Serbs were being picked on. Of course, this is after the 90s and the Bosnian Herzegovina war and a lot of genocide and everything like that. So we sat there and we talked for a little bit. He brought out a little bit more English. He was a lot more patient with me, which was key. And somehow we just got talking, and it just drew on pictures in the dirt and pictures in my notebook and what we could write down. And then I told him I was in Germany in '96, and he said the wall, drew a picture of the wall and stuff like that. And I was like, oh yeah, and then I'm like, so, and then I saw on his weapon, his sidearm that he had was a Makarov, typical German run-of-the-mill gun. It's effective, but it has its faults. Any mass-produced gun has its faults. And so I'm like, Makarov, Russian, good gun. And he's like, hold the meter changed. Russian. Piece of shit. So I just started laughing, and I'm like, why? What's wrong? And apparently, the Makarov, or the version of the Makarov that he has, the magazine feed plate always broke. So you couldn't load any rounds in it. They just fly out. As soon as you push them down, they just pop right out. So this lieutenant had one magazine. His soldiers had an AK or an AK-47, AK-74, but his weapon, he had one magazine for it. And he's like, I don't like going outside with only one magazine. And I'm like, we go out and we get, when we find weapons caches, we're able to bring some stuff back. And I'm like, let me see what my friends have. And And he's like, okay, okay. And of course, the Turkish guy, he had to go back and get the next set of the next set of jersey barriers off a different truck, and that took like 4 hours. God, it was just so long to get what we were trying to do done. Anyway, so we come back the next day, and we told him, like, hey, this is going to be tomorrow. I'll bring the magazines back. We'll meet up here, 8 o'clock. I look over at the Turkish guy, and I'm like, 9 o'clock. I'll be here when I get here. And he's like, it's okay. We'll be here at 8. So I go back, and at this time, our sergeant majors had switched, and we had Sergeant Major Size, who was the Sephardic Sergeant Major. Anyway, his armorer just so happened to be in the National Guard and got assigned to our unit. And she was a little spitfire of a lady who loved cleaning Russian weapons, and anything we found would clean them, would fix them, make them serviceable, and we would shoot them as often as we could, and just crazy. That's just what she loved to do. Just sat in the arms room and knocked that out for about 6 or 7 hours a day, and that was it. She was happy and perfect content. And, all right. So I went up to her, and I don't remember her name, but I was like, hey, we got any extra Makarov magazines? I'm working with guys from Albania, and they don't have any, some of their magazines suck. And she's like, oh, yeah, the feeder plate, has a reputation for breaking quite often. So she's not surprised. So I was like, all right, well, we got any, extra ones laying around? I can get some more, when we go out, and, my friends from the task force or something like that do a hit, and we find some, bring it back, no problem. And she goes, all right, sure, and gives me, I think, 6 magazines. So made a phone call, called over to Mark Ring at the ODB, and I was like, hey, Mark, you got any Makarov magazines over there? I need like 3 or 4, something like that. And Mark was a good friend of mine. Rest in peace, bro. Mark was a good friend of mine, and he was like, yeah, come on over. So I took the truck, went over there, and hung out with them for a little while, grabbed another 5 or 6 magazines, and he's like, you know what, go see if ODA 311 just down the road has any more. They'll probably hook you up with some. So I went over there, and I want to say Ludwig was their main lead Bravo at the time. I'm not sure. Anyway, so I grabbed 4 or 5 from him. So I had about 15, maybe 20 magazines, something I wasn't really keeping count. So the next morning, get there, and of course the Turkish guy's late, but it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. And I get over there, and same lieutenant walks up, and I'm like, all right, last day, Turkish guy, we're good, we'll be finished. And I'm like, 3 hours finished. And he looks at me and just rolls his eyes. I'll never forget that. He rolls his eyes like a little teenager, and was just like, yeah. I'm like, all right, well, okay, maybe 6. So we just started laughing and having a chuckle. And at that time, my pockets jiggled, and he could hear the metal clinking together. So he's like, magazines, did you get some? And, motioned for his weapon and did something. And I was like, yeah, I got a couple. So I pulled a couple out of my pocket, and I gave it to him. He's like, good, thank you. And I'm like, Just started checking my other pockets, and I gave him a couple more, and then my cargo pockets on my thigh, and I gave him a couple more, and a couple out of my back pockets. And I was just pulling them from everywhere, just trying to see what he'd think. And his eyes kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and he just started laughing and joking and just like almost in tears laughing. So he's like, thank you, so gracious for it. And then he reaches in his back pocket, and he pulls out his wallet, and he takes out his money, which wasn't much, and there was some American, there was some Albanian, some other stuff I'm not even sure. I didn't get a good look at. Pulls out a picture of his family and shows his family, his wife, and he had 2 kids. And then hands me his wallet so I could always remember it. And I've always kept that. I always kept this for just that reason. It was 2 soldiers from different countries with families in their hometown or their home country who didn't speak the same language. We were fighting a common enemy. And I helped him, and he gave me the one thing that he had on his that he could give. And that's why I keep this wallet. Just to remind me that there are other people out there, just like me, fighting the same fight, doing the same stuff, raising the same family, just hoping to give their children a better life than we had. And then it also reminds me how lucky we are to live in the United States. Because him growing up in Albania, he saw all that conflict. Those people who were growing up in Iraq at the time, they saw all that conflict. And we never did growing up. We were pretty blessed to have, just about anything we wanted or needed, we had the opportunity to go for or to get. And we were never worried about parents being shot while we were at school or something like that. That there was a threat of bombings or something to that effect. It just always made me really grateful. So, that's the story of the wallet. But, like I said, that's one of these things that this little wallet has a lot of meaning for me that nobody else, besides the guy who gave it to me, would ever even have an inkling about. And I just like that. It just kind of reminds me of the good times. Yeah, I was away from my family a lot, away from Kathy and Jessica and Joe. I do regret that. I regret that even more. Because this story and this wallet have been kind of weighing on me the past week or two. I looked up on Google Maps where I was in Mosul near the airport, and all of it's erased. They bulldozed it, blew it up, all of it's gone. The cool thing was, sorry, should have prefaced that. In 2011, I had the chance to go back with 1st Armored Division in 213 Cavalry as a mortar platoon sergeant. And I stayed damn near in the same space, same base. I knew where all the stuff was. Went back and went to the same, back in the back hills near the Guzlani Training Center. There was the Iraqi Republican Guard, Saddam Hussein's elite tank battalion, had underground bunkers there. I knew where all that stuff was. And we actually did a live shoot with the Iraqi mortars that we taught from the Iraqi army. And then we were the first ones, and we closed down Mosul. And we were the first company to leave out, first troop to leave out and drive out to Kuwait as we turned it over to the Iraqi army. And I heard it just turned into the Old West free-for-all after that. And then as we left Iraq, it left a power vacuum, and ISIS walked in. The Iraqi army was just walked over. They were nothing but conscripts A lot of them had criminal records. They cleared out the jails to force them to join. There's very few like pure units who did it because of their national pride, and they just got balled up by ISIS. And when ISIS took over Mosul, there was extreme massacres, cruelty. They blocked it off, and from all accounts, they starved the people out. I have no doubt 75% of the people that was on my recce team in '07 are dead. I have no doubt. When I was back in 2011, when I was on that gate guard, I wasn't on it, but the other platoon was. I was just happened to be out there running supplies to them, and two of the guys that I taught came driving through the gate, and they were still alive. But that's, I bet you they're dead now, and that's really humbling. St. Elijah's Monastery was back there. It was the earliest known Christian monastery, Assyrian monastery in Iraq, and especially northern Iraq. And then it was razed to the ground. There used to be a cistern back there, and you can't even make out the depression of the cistern. Everything was just bulldozed and buried, and yeah. And that's another humbling thought, that everything we did, the 2 decades we were over there, was really for nothing. You can't force a country into independence and into democracy if they've never known that. Yeah. But it was pretty humbling to see that up on there. So then I looked at the other bases I was at in Najaf, and then in Baghdad and Kapapachi, and the place in Najaf is unrecognizable. All the HESCO barriers are torn down. The only thing you can see is a slight depression of where we had our range in the back. And then the houses we were at in Baghdad next to Kapapachi, houses are still there, but it's all changed, I'm sure. And all the stuff that we did, all the stuff you could see from the roof, was all gone, all changed. But that's been 8, so 14 years, so of course should be changed. But, well. Anyway, I've been talking for too long, rambling on. That was the story of this wallet and why I keep it with all my stuff. Thank you for listening to me. Jess and Joe, I love you guys. I miss you. I wish you could just contact me, say hi. Gabby and Bobby, I hope you know a little bit more about me. Hopefully I'll drop more videos like this soon, because I know I haven't dropped one in quite a while, and I know I've been slacking on making these, so we'll see if we can't make some more. This was kind of fun. See what other memories I can drag up that I can repeat. But, alright, I'll see you later.